Number 80. The average nicotine content of a Camel cigarette is 1.93 milligrams. Convert this quantity to both grams and micrograms. So part A is to do a simple mass conversion, and then part B, we'll read that afterwards. Let's do part A first. If you have 1.93 milligrams, and we're talking about milligrams of nicotine, how many grams is that, and how many micrograms is that? So how do you get from milligrams to grams and then to micrograms? Well, using the table of prefixes in table 1.2, that tells you what milli and micro mean. And so 1 milligram is 0.001 grams. And then we know that 1 microgram is 0.000001 grams. Okay, so that's one way to write it. We could alternately say, 1 milligram is 10 to the negative third grams, or we could say 1 microgram is 10 to the minus 6 grams. Either one of those two work, and there are also other ways to express the relation between the two. Anyway, to convert milligrams to grams, you can use either one of these, or if you have another relation, like 1,000 milligrams is 1 gram, you could do that one too. But we'll just use this one. We'll use the one on the top. 1 milligram is 10 to the minus third grams. Okay, so 10 to the minus third grams is 1 milligram, and that cancels the milligram units. And now you got 1.93 times 10 to the minus third grams. So that's the first one. Check. And then to get to micrograms, we can just take our answer and go one step further. So if we know how many grams it is, 1.93 times 10 to the minus third grams. This is already in scientific notation. We can use this relation to go from grams to micrograms. So getting rid of grams, we put that on the bottom, 10 to the minus 6 grams, and then 1 microgram upstairs. And now you can see the gram units canceling, and the math looks a little tricky. The units are going to be micrograms. You can see the units right there. But the math, 1.93 times 10 to the minus third divided by 10 to the minus 6. When you have powers of 10 and you take one power of 10, you divide the other power of 10, this exponent, the exponent subtract. So it's minus 3 minus 6, which would be positive 3. So it would be 10 to the power negative 3 minus negative 6, which would be positive 3. Oh, I forgot that 1.93. 1.93, and then it's going to be 10 to the positive 3. Hopefully you see how I got that answer right there. So that's the mass in micrograms. So part B, nicotine patches, which are used to help quit smoking. Man, when I quit smoking, I did it cold turkey. Which are used to help quit smoking, release nicotine into the body by absorption through the skin. The patches come with different amounts of nicotine. A smoker begins with the amount of nicotine that matches his typical daily intake. Okay, so if you smoke a certain amount of cigarettes, you want to put a patch on that gives you that same amount of nicotine. Okay, the maximum amount of nicotine in one brand of patch supplies a smoker with 21 milligrams of nicotine per day. If an individual smoked one pack of 20 Camel cigarettes each day, would a smoker get more or less nicotine per day using the patch? So basically, the patch supplies this much. So the patch supplies that much. Is that more or less nicotine than 20 Camel cigarettes? And each Camel cigarette, remember, is 1.93 milligrams per cigarette. Okay, so if you want to know the total amount of nicotine in a pack, you take this and you multiply it by 20. So let's do that. So here, the amount of nicotine in a pack, we know that one cigarette is 1.93 milligrams of nicotine. So if we got 20 cigarettes, we can convert that now. 1.93 milligrams of nicotine is in one cigarette. And calculating this will give you milligrams of nicotine in 20 cigarettes. Doing the calculation, 20 times 1.93, and that's 38.6. It looks like more, 38.6 milligrams of nicotine, and that's for 20 cigs. Okay, so okay, that's more. Okay, and that's more than the patch. So the patch has less nicotine than the pack. Patch has less nicotine than the pack. And if you want to know exactly how much less, it's going to be 38.6 milligrams, and that's in the pack. And you subtract that 21.0 milligrams of nicotine, which is in the patch, to get the difference. And wow, 17.6 milligrams. Okay, so maybe two patches. This guy smokes a lot, needs two patches.